welcome back. So, today, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was stomach issues because it's something I live with every day. I figured to be something to help get a little weight off my chest and just go into little details and how it limits me on certain things and be able to express a understanding to others that go through different types of stomach issues. And I don't even know if you really can call it a stomach issue because it is ulcerative colitis. It deals with my colon, if I remember everything right, but it limits me on a lot of different things. Mainly, a lot of different types of foods. There's a lot of different types of drinks. There's a lot of stress that there's a limiter on how much stress I can take and how much physical strain. I've learned to come to live with it because I've had ulcerative colitis since I was 16, I want to say. At least I can recall all the way back to 16. I probably could have had it further back because I want to say even when I was still in New York at the time. And that's another thing I'll talk about in a little second. But no, I've always had issues with eating different types of food. I've always had issues with food, but here's the problem. I love food. I love all different kinds of food. I always have and always will. One of the big things is a lot of people are like, well, no, you have uh, diverticulitis because I do actually have issues with seeds too. No, I actually have a mild case of diverticulitis, but a lot of my issues falls back to ulcerative colitis, meaning there's times that I could just drink water, plain simple water, nothing in it. I could even get by water that you get from the convenience store, and I still can have an issue. My flare ups, is what I call them. If I'm going through a really bad one, it doesn't matter. I can't eat. I can't drink. I'm very limited on mobility. I'm very drained. I'm just physically just it's almost like I'm physically down for the count. And that's an issue too because there's times where I've had an issue at work where I flared up and I had to take my medicine. Well, the problem is the medicine I have, you're not really allowed to be around machinery. You're not allowed to do any of that. So or even drive. So it became a struggle and an issue for me personally to how to I guess you could say persevere through it because it was different. It wasn't anything I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with the problem that I live with, but I wasn't familiar with how knowing how to take it and be able to adapt while let's say I'm outside or out somewhere. And yes, being 27, it's given me quite a bit of time in this process. But back to when I was 18, it was the hardest because I've only had it for 2 years, as far as I can recollect. I've only had it for a very short time that I can remember, and it was just learning to adapt. And at the time, they've had me on all different kinds of medicines. I remember one of the best ones that my doctor prescribed, which helped me function throughout the day and didn't hinder me as much, was Bentyl. It actually calmed the spasms in my stomach. It helped to ease the pain. It was Bentyl acted like a muscle relaxer, and it was a non-narcotic because that was one of the things I always told my doctors is I don't ever want a narcotic. I never want to get addicted to pills. I never even want it to even cross my mind because that was something that I've seen too many of my friends pass away because of pills. I've known very good people that it just ruined their lives. And that was something that even from the beginning, as far back as I can remember, I always told myself, I will never allow this to happen. And that's the thing too is with me learning in the process of learning different types of foods, different types of even drinks really, because like I said, it limits on what I'm able to drink. Even though it's I have favorite drinks that I'm really not allowed to drink, or it's not that I'm not allowed to, because obviously I am going to make my own personal choice, and if I want to drink a drink, I'm going to. But no, it pretty much what it does, it hurts me just not just on the inside where I won't feel it, but it's a physical pain. There's been times I've blacked out because of it. I have collapsed because of it. And one of the drinks that I'm very guilty of drinking is Monsters. And even at times, not just Monsters, but there's even Pops. I'm very guilty of drinking Pop and Monster. Just like I'm very guilty of drinking coffee. Coffee is not so bad. I do have a little stomach bowel issue with coffee. Like it does go through me a lot harsher than most people. Most people are a little bit okay with coffee. It does. It really does physically. It's not a very physical pain as much with coffee as it is like with Monsters or Amps or Nos. And I mean, like I said, I love Monsters. I remember back when I was 18, I was running a convenience store, and that was just what I lived off of. Monsters and energy pills. And mind you, even at 18, they by the time I got done, let's say working a 12, 16-hour shift or even a 20-hour shift I have done, I think the longest shift I've ever done was 22 hours. And I know you guys are going to call me crazy or say I'm lying, but I'm not. I don't have the physical proof anymore because I don't have my pay stubs to show it, but I did pull a 22-hour shift. But the physical limits of when I finally got done pulling those shifts, it pretty much knocked me out for a solid at least 8 hours because energy drinks, everyone is well aware of. They give you energy, they get you moving, they get you through the day. Well, I did try an alternative, which is 5 hour energy, but at the time, I was drinking anywhere from 8 to 12 monsters in a day. I've had even those big cans they got rid of. I had two and a half of them. And it was just getting to the point, it wasn't even just hurt my stomach as much as it was the doctors even telling me you really need to stop because you're going to eventually cause your heart to either explode or to quit pumping or to quit beating. And that was something that I had to keep in mind and while doing this. And it was just, I don't know if anybody's done it, but 16 hours for 5, 6, 7 days straight, it's just physically draining. So if you don't have an alternate source of energy, because I'm sure there's quite a bit of people out there that could agree with me. When you just get off of a shift, you're not focusing on going right to bed. You're wanting to wind down. You're wanting to shower. You're wanting to get clean. You want to unwind and just be yourself because you don't always just want to go to work and miss out on the rest of your day. So what would happen is that I'd stay up for an additional 2, 3 hours, so I was losing even more sleep, and that got to a point where I just couldn't do it no more, and I ended up leaving that job to go to. I want to say I became a cook. I think that was the next job I worked on, and that was another thing because, like I said, with food, my favorite foods are personally my favorite food is Chinese. Love Chinese, but I don't mean Americanized Chinese. I'm sure that is a general consensus that people, when they say Chinese, they go talk about Chinese restaurants. No, I'm talking authentic Chinese food. And not only that, I do enjoy American Chinese food too. Don't get me wrong. Another personal favorite. But that's another one of the ones that don't ever sit well with me. Chinese food just, whew, and I know it does for everybody, but because of I want to say one of the stuff they put with it, one of the sweeteners, I want to say, or food powders. But either way, it allows you to consume more. And with me loving food, I actually enjoy cooking food, which is the reason why I stepped up and wanted to be a cook. I was like, hey, I can actually enjoy doing this because this is something I enjoy doing anyways, and I do. I really love cooking. I love cooking everything from homemade meals to sitting down, coming up with recipes. Just, I love being in the kitchen. I know the girlfriend will probably be like, no, he don't cook as much as he likes to think. And I don't. I don't cook as much as I'd like to because honestly, I don't like the mess afterwards. It's the only thing I don't like. So there's a lot of ideas I have done. One of the foods that I made that is my personal favorite is meatloaf. Love it. Love meatloaf. Love mashed potatoes. Love it all. But like I was saying though, with the back to the topic of a stomach issue that I have, it's there are there's times that I can't eat highly acidic foods. I can't drink orange juice. I can. I can drink about a half a glass, and that's about as far as I can get because if I drink a full glass of orange juice, I'm done. But the weird thing is though, even though I can't drink the orange juice, and I think a lot of it has to do because it's concentrated. I can actually make homemade orange juice, and I can actually enjoy it that way. Because I do have a juicer that I use that allows me to actually enjoy some of the juices that I can't drink that stores produce that I personally enjoy. And it goes to foods too. Like I can't eat tomatoes. I can't eat anything seed or nuts or and not even just nuts, but well, yeah, nuts. That's a big one. There's just certain trigger foods that I have to stay away from. Highly spicy foods I can't eat, and even then, it's just I love spice in foods. I love flavoring up my food. I love seasoning it, part of the cooking process, and I've learned how to get the right flavor without being too excessive. But like I said, I've learned to live with that. It's been something I deal with daily. It's been something that deal with. I plan to deal with my whole life. I don't think anytime soon that it's going to go away because I highly doubt it. It's not curable. It isn't something that you can just go to the doctor, get a medicine for, and get rid of, which is it's sad, but it's just the reality. And it's to the point it doesn't bother me anymore. I've just kind of come to terms and accepted it, which is good because at first it really angered me because there's just a lot of different types of food I loved. I couldn't eat no more. And there's different types of spices that it was just too much. I can't eat hot sauce. Oh, I eat hot sauce, and depending on the hot sauce, if it's real hot sauce, it'll put me out for a little bit. And I mean, it'll put me out for hours. But one of the things I want to talk about too, though, is I do actually want to get off this topic a little bit sooner than I intended, only because it's just I can go on for hours. I really can. I did want to actually talk about my dogs. They're important to me, and the reason why I want to bring them up is because we have four dogs right now. We have Locke, Kita, Grim, and Arctic, and we had Kita from I want to say the middle of 2016 is when we got Kita, and at that point she was about a year and a half, maybe, or maybe just a year. When we got her, and the reason why we ended up getting her, because originally we weren't allowed to. We weren't because the studio we had did not allow dogs, but because her therapist, it was very nice, very generous with it because you actually are allowed a ESA, an emotional support animal, and with her personal issues that she goes through, and nothing hindering, nothing. I mean, it is hindering in a way, but more personal for her. I don't want to go in depth with that. That's not my place to talk about. But no, but because of that, she was able to get a paper or a document allowing her to keep Kita. And originally, her name wasn't originally Kita when we got her. It was Na Kita. We just took the Na out. We didn't like it. It just sounded too off the wall for us, I guess you could say. But we did like Kita. And we've had her for so long. I mean, she at first didn't adapt to me. She hated me, to be fair and honest. That dog despised me. If it had my scent on it, if she knew I liked it or an object I used, she destroyed it. And I'm talking headphones. She's gotten hold of my moccasins to my flip flops to. I think she even chewed up my wires to stuff too. And it was just that dog didn't care. Did not care. She could get yelled at for hours upon day. Didn't care. You could tell her no. You could discipline her. You could show her what she did was wrong. You could tell her that's bad because there was an issue we had with her chewing wires because she got a hold of one of the extension cords. She did chew wires, and I remember this. She got a hold of one of our extension cords, and I was worried about this because I didn't want her getting a hold of a live wire, and then we come home to a fried dog. And that was the breaking point with us because we had to break her out of it. So we ended up buying her bones. We bought her toys. She would intentionally ignore her toys to go after anything of mine. Left Marky stuff alone for the most part. However, she did get a hold of like her stuffed animals, and that was actually our person. That was our fault, completely our fault, because we actually enjoyed. Not really enjoyed, I guess you could say. We actually gave her stuffed animals. It was at the time it was a great toy because you know what, we had stuffed animals lying around. Didn't have anything to do with them because we got a lot of stuff that people are like, hey, your kid might like this when he gets older, and we're like, or no, like if your kid don't like it, use it as a dog toy, or if you don't want to give it to your kid because it's a little bit older, again, use it as a dog toy. So we got into the habit of giving her stuffed animals. Well, that trend actually kind of backfired on us because at the time, and this was from back from when we lived in the studio all the way up until I moved in with my mom, and even a little bit in with my mom to where we are currently, which she'd get a hold of the baby stuff we didn't want her to chew up. She'd chew up one of Marky's stuffed animals she had that she wanted to give to Mateus, and it was an adventure with Kita to say the least. We got, like I said, we got her back in, I want to say, about mid 2016, and the biggest thing was we not really rescued her from my friend because my friend took very good care of her, but my friend rescued her, I guess, in a way because she is just very shy and skittish around men. So what's sad is I could just so much raise my voice and it's game over with this dog. She will drop dead, and I don't scold her that bad. I don't yell. I don't scream. I mean, I have yelled. Don't get me wrong. She has actually made me mad one day. I started yelling. I'm not gonna lie, but it was just she's so skittish at times with men that she never felt comfortable around them. She would pee on the floor if a male touched her, and it was just you could tell before my friend got a hold of her she was a bait dog. She was abused. She was roughhouse. She was it's just how it was, and I don't know if my friend realized it so much, but not only that, because of her fear, she also had a fear of not being able to eat. So anytime we had to trash down, and then a lot of people try to tell us, oh, it's because she's a dog. Well, no, because she would ignore her food, even though we left a full bowl down there for her. She would ignore it and go solely for the trash when we weren't around, because it was almost like she was afraid we were going to disappoint her for eating. And I could tell, I could see it, and that's what I told Marky. It's like you can tell this dog was abused bad, and she's been a part of our family ever since then. I could be wrong on the time frame. We could have got her early 2016, but I don't want to say we did. But no, we've had her for so long. She's just part of the family. She's getting older. She's calmed down a lot. I haven't really seen her chew anything really recently other than bags here and there. She does get a hold of a plastic bag. She does it for attention. She really does. She'll do it solely for attention, just to get Marky's attention. She'll grab Marky's stuff and will hide it in the corners. And it's not that Marky ignores her, just with having a kid, sometimes our attention isn't always on the dogs. And I mean, we do give them attention as much as we can throughout the day. But Kita's one of those dogs that. Oh, sorry. But Kita's one of those dogs that has to have attention. Has to have attention for a good chunk of the day. And what I mean by that is, she isn't an attention hound. It just she doesn't want to ever feel forgotten. Then after Kita, and I'm only going to talk about the dogs that we have now, and the ones that are currently living with us, because we just had so many. Uh, it would just take me forever to go into talking about all the different dogs we had, but I do want to actually mention a few of them. We did get after Keto when we moved here. We got Cobain, Paradox, Coco, and Apollo. Coco and Apollo got home. Psy got a home. Paradox got a home, and Cobain got a home. And they're all happy dogs. The only one I'm not 100% sure about because I haven't heard much about was Paradox. After Paradox, we end up after those five dogs, actually before those five dogs, actually, We had Waylon, which he ended up getting a really good home too. Um, he's now living with a very good friend of ours. He's happy as could be. But Waylon actually got her pregnant, and then we ended up getting puppies. So at the time, so shortly after Waylon left, she got pregnant. We got the five. Then her litter of 10. No, yeah, I want to say 10. 9. Yeah, her litter of 9, actually. Because now I think about it, would have been her litter plus Kita, and then the 5 dogs. We had about 15 total. And it was just crazy. We ended up downsizing to now where we would have still had one of her litter, but that's just a really long story. Well, not really long, just really upsetting. It bothers me. It really does. But now we have Arctic, which he originally was one of my best friend's dog that we ended up giving it to him. And it's just one and another. He just couldn't end up keeping him. So now we got Arctic back. But before we got Arctic back, we got Lock and Grim. And we drove all the way down further south into Kentucky, and I'm talking at least every bit of 2 hour drive. So it was about a 4 hour drive around the whole round trip. And when we got there, originally Locke wasn't actually supposed to go to us. We were originally weren't even allowed to have Locke because he already had a home. But we ended up getting lucky because I ended up bonding with him. And then she's like, "Well, the guy's not really responding. And when he does, he doesn't give times or dates when he wants to get the dog. He won't come out and actually talk or look at him." So she's like, "You know what? If you're really bonding with him and you really want him, go ahead and take him." And then Marky ended up taking Grim. Originally, we weren't even supposed to get two. We were only going to get one, and that one would have been Grim. I'm personally glad I got Locke. I love him to death. He's my dog. He's my baby. And Grim's hers. But what happened was is the story behind why we got Locke and Grim. She had a dog years ago. Dog still, she can't see the dog, but she still technically is around. And her dog was pit bull mixed with boxer. And I'll let her one day go into detail about that one. But my mindset was I can't replace your dog that you lost, or I can't not only just replace her, but I can't bring her here only because of the circumstances. But my way of saying, hey, I know you love pit bulls and I know you love boxers. I have a surprise for you. And it was hard because one of the issues originally we ran into was with Psy and them. They were not supposed to be coonhound lab mix with supposedly pit, because when they did the blood test on them, they weren't even pit. They weren't even lab. They were coon. No, maybe they were lab. I think they were coonhound mixed with lab. So it's like, okay, this lady knows the dogs personally. She can show us pictures of the mom and dad. They both are her best friend's dogs. That's just what they are, is pit and boxer mix. And you can see it in Grim. Grim is solid pit. There's just no mistaking it. And Locke, he shows more signs of the boxer. So I'm actually glad we kind of got both spectrums on that. We got both sides of the spectrum with the two, which actually really makes me happy, because when Locke gets older, you'll see the boxer traits a lot more, and then when Grim gets older, you'll see a lot more of the pit. I love pits. Pits are amazing dogs. I don't care what anybody says. A pit acts solely based on the way they were raised. And the reason why I say that is I've known pits my entire life. I've seen pits be around kids, babies. I've seen pits around other animals. I've never had a personal issue with a pit. Pits are my favorite. The only thing with a pit is that I do have an issue. They are always hyper. They always have the mentality of a puppy. And not even a mentality wise, as so much as the energetic, like the energy of a puppy, no matter how old they get. Until they get older. Then once they get older, yes. And then they kind of mellow out, but that's years down the road. So, like I was saying, we ended up getting Locke and Grim, drove all the way down there. That was an adventure in itself. We had to find a babysitter. We had to find a last minute babysitter. And thankfully and luckily, we ended up finding one because I remember getting off work and calling Marky like, "Hey, we need a babysitter and we need one like now." Because by the time we get there, it's gonna be late. Because I didn't get off till like I think it was like 4:30. I almost happened to stay over, so I was like, shoot. And then they ended up sending me home. And then as soon as, like I said, I got off, I called her and told her like we need a babysitter like right now because I got a surprise for you. I don't want to ruin it. I'm not gonna tell you why. Just find one. So she called our friend and she was like, "So what are you doing?" Because Craig actually just called me. He's like, "I need a babysitter and I don't have time to find one. Would you be up for babysitting Mateus?" Because yes, we could have took Mateus, but 2 hour trip just it doesn't go very well. I mean, I'm not saying Mateus wouldn't have been fine, but I don't want him in the car seat all the entire trip. And there was other factors into it. So we got down there. I want to say it was about 7:30 because we ended up getting lost. Then what happened was is I forgot I needed cash. I thought I had cash on me, so then we had to go to an ATM withdraw cash. The only reason why we need cash is like a $15 fee. I'm not complaining. $15 for amazing dogs. That to me was a steal. But so we got there about 7:30. We ended up staying till about 8 because she wanted to look at them. She wanted to actually interact with them, and thankfully they had a light on the porch so we could see them. That helped out a lot. And then from there, we ended up. I don't think we got lost. It was just a little bit of a back trip because our phones didn't work. There was no signal. We couldn't find signal no matter where we went. And then in the entire trip, we're like, oh boy. Thankfully, we had it loaded in this GPS, so the first time we got there, it was easy. And then going back after we got back from the ATM. But finding the ATM was every bit of 20 minutes down the road from where they were at to 20 minutes back. So I wish I would have remembered cash because I was like, alrighty, we are never gonna find this ATM. I know they told us just make a right and keep going straight till you see it on your left, and I'm like, I'm not seeing nothing. We've been driving 20 minutes now, and I honestly didn't think I'd ever find it. I'm not gonna lie. I was really surprised that I did. But so we brought them back. They were at first really good with being potty trained. Well, not really potty trained, but kind of housebroken in a way. To the little bit older they got, because they were used to newspaper and then something for them to pee in like a bathroom in a little small spot. So we worked with them to where they are at now, and where they are now, they're perfect. They are completely potty trained. They don't potty in my house. They haven't pottied in my house for a while. I forgot the stress that comes with puppies, and I should have remembered because of the puppies we had. And it's not that I forgot; it was just one of those. You know what? I'm gonna suffer through it. I know what's coming. I swear I know what's coming, even though I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't. I didn't really think about it as much until I actually until they actually got here long enough, and I was ready. I was looking, Mark, I'm gonna strangle these dogs. They were doing great. They potted in one spot where we put the puppy pads down. I'm tired of buying puppy pads. She's like, well, kind of have to. I'm like, yeah, I know. But no, they caught on real quick. They don't potty at all in the house. They do amazing. To now where I'm at is I have a grown dog. We got him back. So I'm going to leave it off with those two and go into the fourth dog we have. And the fourth dog we have is Arctic. And the biggest reason why he gets under my skin is because of the fact of he was left outside for the most part, from what I could tell, for quite a bit. The only reason why I say that is because he is not housebroken in the slightest bit. He he doesn't know any rules of the house, and it just felt like I kind of got a dog that was doing great inside, understood the rules at the time when we gave them to him, never pottied in our house, to having issues to get him to not pee in his cage because we went to bed, even though he went outside before we put him in his cage, to where he's at now, to where he's not pottying in the cage anymore. It's just if we're not out in the living room, we can't leave him unattended. So the only time we actually cycle the dogs. The puppies are allowed out more than per se Arctic is, because Arctic, like I said, unless he's supervised 24/7, he will start chewing everything. Because the other day I walked out in the living room, Marky let him out. She went into the bedroom, was just relaxing. I was like, so I thought we were under an agreement that we wouldn't leave them unsupervised. She goes, why? What did he do? He got a hold of a Christmas bulb. Not the actual light, but the ornament. And chewed it. I don't know why. I don't understand why. You would think because it being, what, plastic, I think the one he got hold of. Yeah, plastic. The sharp parts to it of the plastic, he wouldn't even take an interest in. Now, he shredded it up, and I think he ate some of it. So I've been having to keep an eye on him, keep an eye on his poop, make sure he didn't shred his stomach up, didn't do any internal damage. Thankfully, it's been long enough to where no, it hasn't done any damage. Thankfully, I am blessed on that. But no, he shredded up a Christmas ornament, and that was our adventure so far with the dogs. And the journey we are on with them is just it's an amazing one. It's a eye opener, and it's Mateus loves the dogs. He gets along with them so well. To They get along with him. They're very nice. They're very sweet with him. The only ones we got to work on a little bit more on that part is Locke and Grim, because and Arctic. Now I think about it, is because they kind of get a little too excited around him, so they try to jump up on him. They don't realize you can't do that, and they do that even with people, which we are working on. They're getting a little bit better. It's just like I said, it's a work in progress with them. To honestly, ultimately, I love my dogs. I will say they irritate me to death, and I want to strangle every single one of them and boot them out the door all the time. But no, I love them. This is their home. This will always be their home, and that's just something that I've just, I guess not, I guess you could say realized personally, because they're happy. I don't ever want to see them not happy, and that's just the way it is, and it's the way I think it's gonna always be. It's just how I feel. It's just how I see things, and even if we move and let's say the area we look at doesn't allow pit bulls, no, because they've been so long with this family, the way I've come to terms is we'll just find a place that lets us have all four of our dogs, because they, like I said, they are part of our family, and I wouldn't get rid of them even if I was forced to. So I think that's about everything I want to talk to today. I know usually with me, the audio portions are a little bit shorter as opposed to if I was talking with like my mom, like I had actual hour footage or recording, and I understand that. I guess I get in a point to where I feel good. I'm happy. I got to just talk and let out a lot of just thoughts, and it helps. But no, guys, like I said, I think this is where I'm gonna wrap it up. Like I said, hello and welcome back, but this is the part where I don't say hello. I say goodbye, thank you, leave a like or a comment in the box below, or even subscribe. Keep coming back, and I'm going to keep uploading more, and I look forward to hear from anybody. I always do. And I look forward to uploading more videos.